And it's loading up with us.
We got TV.
We got the TV. I know it's not the best background. Let's
It's
see.
cool. It breaks up and lets you know you're in a home.
Yes,
Like,
it does.
yeah.
All right. This is a different environment. This is a different setup. We are going and we are live. Hello to
Hello.
Testimony Tuesday.
Testimony. Today's Tuesday.
Today is
I didn't
Tuesday.
lost count of days.
So have I. Welcome to Testimony Tuesday. I'm your host, Sally Kay, and I am thrilled and honored to have here with me my dear friend and sister and representative, Representative Carol Ammons.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we are not going to waste any time. We are taking back 2020, and we are ending this year strong with sharing the testimonies that because of 2020, a lot of great things have really happened. And sometimes it's hard for us to really pinpoint those things because we can't focus, right? But you've been doing some amazing work, not just you, but a team of folks. And so I want to give the floor to you. Testify, sister.
Well, I have a lot that I could share and say to people who are listening and to share with you. First of all, let me say how grateful and thankful that you've even come up with a program called Testify Tuesday. Because sometimes we need to be able to share the good things. We watch television and there's so much negativity. It is so much negativity on television and social media that it would make people think twice about wanting to try something different or do something out of the ordinary or that people say they can't do.
Absolutely.
And so I am certainly not only reflecting on that, but I'm also an example of what people said I couldn't do.
Absolutely.
I'm an example of that.
Yes, you are.
I remember vividly in 2014 when I decided to run for state rep, outgoing state rep's husband said that I didn't look like a state rep. And I said, what does a state rep look like? Clearly there is a stark difference from the predecessor to myself. And certainly I come from a community of struggle. And so perhaps I don't look like a state rep because they've been so common and accustomed to state reps being European, being white descent, and not having the struggles of the African American community. Therefore, their ability to speak to that is different.
That's right.
And so I'm glad that we are at the moment that we are in 2020 because so much is happening that is going to require us to do this reflection. Absolutely. And so one of the things that Illinois is doing as part, and I'm proud to be a part of, is called Healing Illinois. And one of my great professor friends, Dr. Ruby Mendenhall and Dr. Helen Neville, speak all the time about us having a moment of reflection so that we can heal ourselves because we can't serve.
That's right.
If we're broken, if we're in pain, if we feel dejected or feel that we don't have the ability to give our service in whatever that capacity is, or just to even get around the naysayers. And so their pouring into me has also been part of my healing process. Because no one, not even me, is perfect on this planet.
Right.
And so we all make mistakes and we have to be able to reflect on those mistakes and make corrections so that we can continue our good service and grow from that. So Healing Illinois is the initiative that was launched by Governor J.B. Pritzker along with the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus, which I'm proud to be a member of.
I want to pause. Hold on.
I'm proud to be a member of. You just go.
You just gave a lot because you said something about being human and but still being able to move forward. How about being able to be given the benefit of the doubt?
That is a very hard thing, and our experience as the Black experience may not be what some of our counterparts' experience is. And that is part and parcel to the drive and the work that I do to give service to the voiceless, to those who don't have a voice, and no one will listen to their side of the story.
That's right.
And so I spend a lot of time giving voice to the voiceless, and I spend a lot of time hearing their story, even if I can't help them. And I know about this personally. I know about families and mothers who call me or call my office and say, my son is in danger in Stateville, but he doesn't deserve to be treated like an animal. We get involved and we get engaged to protect his humanity. Even if he's made an error in his life, he's serving that time, but he still deserves to be treated like a human being. And I think sometimes in some spaces, we've lost our ability to see the humanity of other people.
Well, and then just to be able to do what you said, to be an ear.
To be
Because
near.
sometimes, even when we know we're in error because we are human, that does not take away from the fact that we still want to be heard and deserve to be heard.
Right.
Even if, you know, you can't necessarily fix the problem at that time,
Yeah.
the humanity of my tears matter. The pain that I'm experiencing, it matters.
It
And I need
matters.
someone to just sit
Just
with
to
me,
hear.
just to hear.
Sometimes I got to hear the mama. I got to hear the mama saying, I tried to tell my son, but he's caught up in the societal norms,
Mm-hmm.
and he wouldn't listen to my guidance at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I still got to
I
advocate for
still have to
him.
advocate for him. I still have
I
to
have
love for
to
him.
help
I still
him.
have to stand in the gap for him.
I have to.
I still have to provide resources for him, right?
And we do.
That's right.
And so my office, because that is how I would want someone to treat my son.
Mm-hmm.
If my son was in the same situation, I would hope that somebody along that path would care about his humanity enough to give him also that same benefit of the doubt,
That's right.
and also to give him the recognition of his humanity that
The
sometimes gets
recognition
lost.
of his
Gets
humanity.
lost.
The recognition of his humanity. Tell us about is Heal Illinois?
It's called Healing Illinois.
Healing Illinois.
And the purpose of it is really just to promote the dialogue of what has happened. Now, because I study history and I'm just a student of it, I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. I spend a lot of time reading history because history tells us a lot.
Right.
And so in 1963, 67, between that 4 year period of time, at that time, President Johnson was grappling with, again, racial tensions and racial riots. So my example here is just because of context.
Okay.
He's grappling with what to do. He comes up with something called the Kerner Commission. The Kerner Commission is designed to look at what is the impetus that started this riot. Why is this happening? Because, and that commission, right, that commission delved into the why. And at the underlying of that commission's work, which I think people should read, it's a book. You can buy it. It's called the Kerner Commission Report.
The Kerner
Kerner,
Commission.
Kerner. Now, what is relevant to our moment right now is that Kerner was the former governor of Illinois.
Okay.
So he became the chairman of this commission for the federal level, which is under Johnson. And they did this work around the racial riots in urban cities around the country, across the country. And the outcome of that work is not that Black people at that time, and even or this one, not that Black people was lost on how government worked, but that government wasn't working for Black people. And that the underpinning of the Kerner Commission was based in white racism and white exclusion of people of color, and in that time, Black people. And that is the baseline of their recommendations. So they had recommendations to improve the situation. Now let's fast forward.
Okay.
Now we're going to fast forward.
Bring us back.
Because this is all about, in order to understand where you're going, you got to understand where you've been.
That's right.
And so in this case, 2020 happens. Now we're going to reclaim 2020.
We are taking back 2020.
We're taking it back.
But with a different understanding.
Now, that's why we got to have the understanding.
That's why we have to have the understanding.
So that we can take it back with knowledge and understanding.
Absolutely.
So we fast forward 2020. We have, unfortunately, the demise of George Floyd in this era, along with so many others.
Along with so many others.
Along with so many others, which
2020 shed a light.
Shed a light. So it is revealing the institutions in a way that in our generation we hadn't seen. Because I've read the Kerner Commission report, and I've read about the riots of 1967. I read the Watts riots, St. Louis riots. I've read all of these, but not been in them.
That's right.
So from the present day moment, then I get a chance to see, what does this look like in my moment, and what will I do? So 2020 comes, George Floyd is killed, Aubrey is killed, so on and so many are killed at the hands of the state, because the police work for the state. And we get to see the reveal, the peeling back of the onion of all of its institutions. Not just in Illinois.
That's right.
But all over the country.
All over the country.
Because the institutions are based on the same framework, no matter what state you're
and connected.
in. They're all connected.
And connected.
So healthcare and jobs. And see, you can go through your institutions and say, education, there's something wrong here, right? 2020 reveals all of this. And now here we come along as the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus, of which I'm a member of and proud to be a member of. And we say, guess what? We're going to go as hard as it is,
Uh-huh.
to the root causes of the institutional problems, meaning institutional racism that creates the disparity in graduation rates for Black students at the educational level, meaning
Mm-hmm.
higher ed or K through 12, the lack of resources provided for early childhood.
Mm-hmm.
See, we got to go to the root of these problems.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't heal
That's
Illinois.
right.
You cannot heal Illinois or any other place without going to the root
I love
problems,
it.
which are policy related in this case. And there's a deficit in humanity that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to recapture the God consciousness of people
Mm-hmm.
and the political consciousness of people because they produce the outcomes for which people live.
But what do you do when they clearly clash?
Sometimes they do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they do, but you gotta fight through them
Okay.
because 2020 was a revealing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also, are you ready to fight for it?
Okay.
Because nobody's going to give you anything. You got to fight for your humanity. And in this case, we're called to the table
We have to fight
to
for
fight for
our
our humanity.
We have to fight for
Yes,
what
we do.
was we were just born into. What
God gave us inalienable rights, which is a good statement because I also read the Constitution and believe that there's, if applied, that there is also healing in it,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's wrong, but there's also healing in it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we apply the basic principles of the Constitution, we wouldn't do what we were doing to our fellow human beings in every one of these other issue areas,
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, jobs, the discrimination that leads those things would not be a place if we apply the Constitution in a way that it is written, that it protects the God consciousness of the citizen of the
And the
United
way
States.
God intended.
Exactly.
But
So
we have to fight
we
the
gotta
very
fight for
thing
that.
that was intended for us as humans.
Remember, people are interpreting these
because
things differently.
people interpret.
Human beings are interpreting these documents.
Okay, break it down.
So
Break it
because
down.
human beings are interpreting the documents, then the outcome on the other side may not be healing. Because we're interpreting from our own perception, from our own culture and our own climate, where we've been raised, how we've been raised, the things that have been instilled in us. We grow up, we become adults, we become policymakers, and we interpret that thing differently depending on where your view is. And sometimes that is in contradiction. Sometimes there is a battle there.
Yeah.
And that's what we're ensuing and we're part of. So part of this process is this dialogue.
So good.
this is part of the process.
Yeah.
Part of the process is the dialogue.
Yeah.
It's to recognize that you're coming from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I may not even agree. You may not agree with mine.
Mm-hmm.
But there is evidence of our perspective, which is why I spend so much time in history, because the evidence is there and has been recorded for us in the past.
So even if my perspective is one way, evidence of history supports why
You do
not that it's okay to change my
Correct.
perspective, but I need to change. It's imperative that I change my perspective. If history is supporting that, the way that I currently believe
It's
it's
not
not
protecting
protecting
my inalienable rights that God created me with. See, God created me with this. And if I don't
who are you?
Who are you to take away what God created?
God created.
See? So that's why
Oh.
my work is really
That's good.
I can pass laws about zoning and regulations and blah blah blah, but within zoning, I'm trying to protect the human rights.
So as long as we are protected, your base never changes.
My base
The
doesn't
core-
change no matter what the issue is. My base
wow.
doesn't change, which
The
is
base
why
doesn't
a lot
change.
of the work that is ongoing right now as we recapture 2020. 2020 is critical for us to look back and say, ooh, what kind of America do you want to live in? What kind of America do you want to 2020 told us a few things that I hope we learned.
Yeah.
That we want to live in America that really literally allows people to die without consequence. And people say, well, it's just you can't afford this or you can't do that. Well, too bad. Your health insurance ain't good for you. Too bad you got that diabetes. Should have ate better. No, we deserve health care like every other person in our community.
Absolutely.
We deserve good medical treatment like every other person, right? We want to go to church and be in fellowship with our citizens like every other person. But if you hinder, restrict, don't allow us to do that or provide a distinction between your church, my church, or your school, my school. I got more money over here in this community and you get less, so your schools are less, right? When I go from my home in Central Illinois to my father's home in East St. Louis, Should I care about East St. Louis because I don't represent East St. Louis?
Absolutely, you should,
Absolutely.
because it goes back to the core. You
Guess
care
what?
about
The
the humanity.
core
Absolutely,
is
no
that
matter
I
where you
believe
are.
those children in East St. Louis, Danville, anywhere else deserve the quality education that Schaumburg and Edison gets.
That's right.
I believe that at my core.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm going to work to make sure, even though I don't represent East St. Louis, I don't represent Danville, I don't represent Schaumburg. But I do believe that these communities and their children and our children deserve the exact same quality education.
And that's why you're
That's
called
what's
upon
important.
so much, because you're right. I know for a fact that there are people that call on you. You don't represent
I
them,
don't represent
but
them.
you do what you did in the very beginning. You said you'll hear that mother out. You'll hear that person out who is having to deal with the law for whatever reason, and then you will connect them with the right people and the right resources. So you are still that person that's connected to the people, and that, I think, in a lot of areas is what's missing.
It is missing, and I think I'm grateful. I'm prayerful for the hedge of protection like Job that goes around me because I
Mm-hmm.
know only God can do that. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But I'm also grateful for the intellect,
Yes.
right? I'm grateful for the ability to understand that there were people here before I got here. What is it that they could teach me?
Mm-hmm.
Let me learn from them, and then let me apply
Mm-hmm.
what I've learned
Mm-hmm.
to improve the condition for people when I'm gone. So I'm not going to be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, I'm not thinking that my flag is stake and I'm going to be the state rep forever. You can't do it. No, I'm just going to do what I do within the window of time that God gave me from my birth to my death.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to do my little part in between. And I'm going to pray that what I've done is sufficient to God's order,
That's
right? That
right.
He's proud and pleased with what I've done. And not that I've done it perfected, not in a perfect way. I've
Mm-hmm.
offended some folks. I've done some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm-hmm.
my creator is the
That's
one
right.
who's the judge.
That's right.
And I'm
And the intentions.
thankful
Mm-hmm.
for that.
That's right.
And I look forward to ways to try to improve the conditions for other people. And so part of this process of, dialogue, part of the process of learning and
Mm-hmm.
encouraging educational development in any issue area, part of the process of facilitating opportunities for people who don't normally have that access,
Mm-hmm.
right? Part of my work is seeding the connections that would make that mother who called me from, I got so many stories on these
I
things,
know. Yeah.
but the letters that the brothers write me, or the business owner who can't get PPP,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When those connections come to me, that's when I jump into action.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't ask you, well, do you live in Champaign, Urbana?
Right. That's right.
No, I don't. I don't ask that. I say, okay, what is it you're trying to do? And let me see if we can facilitate
Mm-hmm.
a solution for you. Because that's all I'm supposed to do is facilitate that solution. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? But I don't promise you what I can't deliver, but I try my best to do everything I can within my
Within your
scope.
scope.
That's the healing that is good for me, but I think that's the healing that's good for the Black
It's good.
community.
It's good for
But
everyone.
it's good for everybody.
Absolutely. And so you have been very busy in
I've been
2020.
busy.
What are some things that we don't know? I mean, time is already gone. We've got maybe 8 minutes left.
Okay.
And
Ooh,
that
this time go
I know
fast.
it goes so fast. It goes so fast. In this amount of time, short. What don't we know? What
So
have
let
you
me,
been busy
I'm
doing?
going to highlight
Highlight
just
a
a
few
few
things.
things that only, again, from my ability to study history has been an opportunity for me to work.
Okay.
And so I serve on the Supreme Court Commission for Pretrial Services.
Mm-hmm.
That commission is made up of the Supreme Court of Illinois, the chief judge appoints. And so I'm a member of that commission. Over the last 3 years, I have served on that committee in order to end what we consider cash bail.
Okay.
So if someone is arrested, because a person is arrested or said they did something, does not mean that the person is guilty according to the Constitution and according to the laws of our state and country. So a person has the right to defend themselves against accusations of misconduct of any sort. They have that right.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this case, that service on that pretrial commission has been an eye-opening experience because I'm sitting with judges who it took a minute for them to really attach to the concept that you can't use cash to deny me my constitutional rights.
Hold on. I don't think people understand
I'm gonna back
that.
up. When you get arrested, when you go to the county jail,
Mm-hmm.
the court set a bond.
Right.
And in many cases, the bond is equivalent to a cash
Absolutely.
payment.
Absolutely. $1,000, 10%, $100 you pay.
Correct. So if that's what your bond is and you're indigent,
Mm-hmm.
assuming you're a homeless person, you don't have $100 and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have any family that can bail you out. You're just sitting in
You
jail
just sit in jail
until they decide to reduce it down to zero.
Mm-hmm.
And that reduction can be a long time.
It could be a long time. And you're sitting in jail.
You're sitting in jail.
Supposed been innocent until proven guilty, but you're already serving time.
So you already get that.
I'm serving time.
I'm serving time, and I've not been found guilty.
I've not been found guilty
of anything.
But you're telling me the law says I should not have to sit in jail because I cannot pay $100.
Correct. My constitution, the Illinois Constitution says you can't use cash.
Cannot use cash
as a means to reduce a person's ability to get out in order to come back to court so that they can prove their innocence. That's what it's supposed to be for.
Okay, that's simple.
It's only used should be used in the rarest occasions where the person poses a significant, and this is the word, significant risk to community, self, or harm of others, or their flight risk. They got $1 million. They're going to fly to Germany instead of going to court for that traffic ticket, which nobody does. No one does. But just assuming that that's the case, somebody's going to fly to Germany to escape being held responsible for whatever it was that they did.
That's based on discretion.
You hear the discretion in that? So because of that, the Supreme Court and another group that I worked with said, we're going to end cash bail.
Okay.
So we put forth a bill. The Supreme Court for Illinois said, please work with us. Let's set up a commission so that we can work legislative body, meaning the General Assembly, and the judicial body, which are two separate bodies. Mm-hmm. Judicial and legislative will come together and create a method by which to get rid of, reduce, or make superfluous, meaning you don't need anymore to use cash in order for bond. There are many other ways that you can put bond on a person without it being relegated to cash.
Example.
For instance, I can say that, well, because you have a job, but you're a flight risk, so your job is 9 to 3. We're going to put you on a monitor so that at 4 o'clock you better be back at home.
Okay. So you are out.
You're out.
You're living. You're contributing to society. You're working.
You're still maintaining your home, your children, your
but
job.
You're not sitting in jail. Until proven guilty.
Correct.
Understood.
So that's the very premise. That's a basic thing of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. We want to get rid of that. Now, in 3 years, we've learned a lot about every system, every county in Illinois, and how some are doing it one way and some are doing other ways, which creates disparity. So you see a lot of young, Black, primarily males, who may be in a county jail for whatever, who can't make bond. And some of them, and it could be something serious, they robbed a gas station, assuming, some of them would have served more time in the county jail than the sentence would have given them.
And oftentimes they get out time served.
And they get out on time served, which tells me that we didn't have to do what we was doing in the first place. So we've been working on that for 3 years. I'm thankful and glad that now I'm on the implementation task force. And that implementation will start moving us forward to actual equal justice. Ain't that something? So right now, we don't have equal justice under the law. We don't have it.
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah. But that example tells you that progress is actually moving you from A to B. And that B represents the progress that we've made. So I'm excited about being able to serve in a capacity that challenges the norms, right? That says, no, we're not going to make everybody guilty because they may have done something or may have been alleged to have done something. We're not going to make everybody guilty because of that. We're going to give them what God gave them. See, they have inalienable rights that you cannot trample upon their rights. And we as policymakers have to make policy that lines up with those rights. And we've not done that. That is the harm that has been done to our community and to all of our country for a long time. Because if you violate my rights, you're going to violate theirs too.
That's right.
So you got to stop it.
It has to stop.
That's a great example of it.
So we know when it's time for election, there's campaigning, and that's when people become aware. Yeah. And we're pushing to vote. But this is everyday work.
This is everyday work. And so you need to be what my grandmother used to say, prayed up.
Mm-hmm.
You better be prayed up
Be prayed
to
up.
do this work,
That's right.
because you're gonna have enemies too
That's right.
that don't believe that what I just described is the right way to go. So you're gonna have people on the opposite side of this saying, "Oh no, but they're going to do whatever," even if
Right.
they have no evidence of that. My perception of this person might be different than my perception of that one, and therefore that might color my vision
Mm-hmm.
and make me make decisions that are not in the best interest of everybody. And so that's what we are hoping to finish and reclaim in 2020, that no, you do have inalienable rights, and we as policymakers don't have the right to trample on them.
So move us forward to 2021. What can we as the people do to help you as
Mm.
legislator to help us the people?
Well, I hope that in 2021, I intend to launch a group called Winning Justice.
Okay. Winning justice.
Winning Justice is a movement of color change,
Okay.
which I've worked with over the years, for many years, to bring about uh, complete change in the criminal justice system as well as in the judiciary system.
Mm-hmm.
I started this back months ago, introducing a bill that made a lot of people upset in
Mm-hmm.
Champaign-Urbana. House Bill 97, which is a judicial reform bill. I passed it out of the House. It was sitting in the Senate, not passed.
Mm.
But we're about to get another opportunity.
Okay.
And I want people to know
Mm-hmm.
that moving in 2021, Winning Justice, number one objective is to get justice in the state's attorney's office and to get justice in the judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two that impact
Okay.
our communities the most.
Okay.
When you look at disparities,
Mm-hmm.
they come out of those systems. And so I'm hoping to get people in our
Absolutely.
community
Absolutely.
interested in helping us in 2021 move us forward.
Well, it starts like you said.
We're not
the
going to
dialogue.
complain.
That's
We're going
right.
to learn. We're not going to complain.
We're not
We're
going
gonna
to
learn.
complain.
We're not going to complain.
We're not going to complain.
We ain't going to be on Facebook writing how wrong that was,
Come
what
on.
so-and-so did to
Come
us.
on.
We're not going to do that.
We're not doing
No,
that.
we're going to launch an active organization called Winning Justice with Color of Change's backing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to launch it in Champaign-Urbana so that people who really have been through some of these systems, have experienced discrimination in the job and workplace, have really not had an opportunity to send their children to our flagship university.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm going to move across issue areas. It's not just one thing that's
Come on,
impacting us.
2020. Launcher.
It's going to be all the issue areas that make sure Black people are not able to economically compete,
Mhm.
meaning our businesses have not been able to compete because
That's
they
right.
can't get loans.
They can't get loans.
See, you see that this is all
Absolutely.
this is all a system. It's all a system, and all of the institutions that come out of this system. God bless you, Lord, because my mentor, Reverend James Beller, was the director of direct action under Dr. King,
Mm-hmm.
and I studied
Channel.
with him
Mm-hmm.
for 3.5 years, me and my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught us that it wasn't the oration of Dr. King that made their organizing work effective. He was a great orator, but that wasn't it. It was the strategy that they sat down and developed in a little bit of room just like this,
Yep.
that moved and propelled them from a righteous position to address the harms and the rights of Black people. Ultimately, Hispanics benefited, Latinos benefited from the work of the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
Women benefited.
Oops.
Did you see that? So if we help the least of these, as
Come
the
on,
scripture
as the word
says,
says. Mm-hmm.
if we help the least of these, we are helping everybody
Everyone.
along the way. So that's my 2021. My 2021 is to launch Winning Justice,
Winning justice.
so that it can help us move these other issue areas where we can't get bank loans and we can't grow our businesses, and we have difficulty getting our children through school, and the K through 12 system doesn't provide the resources, historically context, for Black children to develop and grow. We have to fix these things.
That's right.
If we truly want to move forward. And so I'm excited about 2021.
I'm over here like jumping on the inside. I'm excited
excited.
for 2020 because 2020 for so many
Launches this.
It launched. It was
It's
your launching.
harvest.
It was your launching
our
pad.
time.
So thank goodness for 2020. We're
Yeah.
taking 2020 back. And what is it again for 2021?
We're going to win in justice.
Winning
We're
justice.
going into winning justice.
Winning Justice 2021. And not just in Champaign-Urbana,
The entire state.
the entire state of Illinois. And I
Let me
believe
say this in closing.
absolutely.
Because you have just this vision here of recapturing 2020 as a launching pad.
Yes.
Because yes, a lot of the stuff happened in 2020.
Absolutely.
And we were all going like, oh my God, this cannot be. But it is indeed just like a launching pad. You don't stay on it.
You don't.
You don't stay
You
on a
don't
launching
stay
pad.
there.
You use
You
it to
use it.
propel you forward.
Come on.
And so I believe deep in my soul that 2020, if we are paying attention, if we're conscious, if we study a little bit, if we read and don't fall for the negativity of the Facebooks and social media that's trying to sell you all these things. No. Get engaged. Get into an active organization that is truly focused on using it as a launch pad, but not a staying point.
Absolutely.
That's not where we stay.
Absolutely.
It was an experience that we all went through. God bless us. But we have an opportunity to use it to propel us into a future that we couldn't see prior to 2019. Didn't show us. 2020 showed us.
2019, but see, okay, here's what's so interesting. Leading up to 2020, everyone was like, I can't wait for 2020 because 2020 is going to be 2020 vision, perfect vision.
Dub, right?
And here's the thing, it was just that. 2020 really was perfect vision.
It was a vision.
It unveiled everything. And so now we're sitting in the very thing that we said we wanted to see and wanted to do. Perfect vision. Yes. But it doesn't look the way we imagined it because we are not all knowing.
No, we're not.
But we do have the power to speak a thing. So what we spoke was perfect vision, we'll be able to see, and now we really can see. So now that we can see, what do you do with it?
What do we do?
What do you do with it? And that is what we're talking about when we're taking back 2020. I am, again, so honored that Representative Carol Ammons was able to be with me here.
I stopped by.
You stopped by.
Like church.
So I know, we stopped by in church. Okay, and so I want to say, I'm going to say this on air because, yes, we are in a pandemic, and people are like, they're kind of close.
We are close. We've been together.
We've been together. We had our COVID test.
Yes, we did.
We've been masked up. The only reason why we did this is for the show. We are taking all proper protocol, but we are also living life. Yes. We have taken 2020 back, and we are living life with the precautions put in place according to the CDC. So, yes, we are yet examples, and we want you to wear your mask. Again, we will end with thank you again so much. Let me say to you, sister, I honor you and I love you and I appreciate your hard work and your dedication. You and your entire family, you give all of yourself. The Ammons are the real deal and they give all of themselves. And so I just want you to know we appreciate you. We as the people, I'm representing the people right now. I personally appreciate you and love you and thank you. And I cover you. I cover you with the protection of Job as God gives me strength.
Thank you.
I love you so much.
Bless you.
Bless you.
We're launching.
We are launching. We're launching. All right, take back 2020. Representative Carol Ammons. Thank you. So have a great, great day. All right, you can hit that for me. And I hope we can end. Oh, look, there we go.